Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. So this is going to be an interesting one. If you follow along happenings in WoW Classic fairly closely, you may have seen an increase of posts on various forums like the official Blizzard one or maybe the Classic subreddit about players getting falsely banned as of late, and some of these were before the big ban wave as well. It honestly seems like Blizzard's detection system for gold trading in some part is as simple as X person trades Y amount of gold to a different account and they get a temp ban for real money trading, which, as crazy as it sounds, certainly looks as though it has taken a hit on a number of normal players, because there are a good number of legitimate reasons why you would trade large amounts of gold to somebody who Blizzard may consider to be a complete stranger. Some people have separate accounts to play opposite factions on PvP servers, for summoning alts, bank alts, trading on the auction house. There are a bunch of different reasons. Buying expensive items from other players like Edge Masters, or buying items in GDKP runs, which I'll go over exactly how that works later. And then of course there is getting money from buying it with real life money, which is of course against Blizzard's TOS. In fact, I've even heard tell that there were waiting lists to buy gold in Classic early on. That's how high the demand was. And even now there is still an enormous market for people not afraid to buy gold online for Classic. And without going into specifics, 1 gold in Classic is equal to about 700 in retail. A Longboy would cost you about 7k on Classic with these numbers in mind, and this is after the bot banwave of course. On top of that, gold is used for so many more things in Classic than it has been used for in retail for ages. I mean, the fact that Blizzard felt the need to add recolors of several mounts, each with a 333,000 gold price tag, goes to show that people have more gold than they know what to do with on retail. In Classic, you care about gold for, well, everything really. Respecs, raiding, PvP, consumables, gearing alts, profession training, leveling skills, repairs, mounts, just everything inside the game. It's a resource that matters a lot for every single player. Conversely, in retail over the years, gold has become more and more inflated as there's just been less things to spend it on compared to how quickly and efficiently it can be earned. Don't get me wrong, 5 million gold for a Longboy isn't an easy task, but if you told people back in Mists of Pandaria that there would be a vendor mount for this amount of money, you would have been laughed at back then. Take a guess when the token was added to World of Warcraft retail. It was patch 6.1.2, which was towards the start of Warlords of Draenor, aka the sub-exodus for World of Warcraft. Now by this point in time in WoW's history, gold was still fairly relevant, but not overly so. Super high-end expensive items were still going for about 6 figures on the auction house, but by the end of Warlords of Draenor, many people had that much disposable gold that they just didn't know what to do with. Now, I have to say, when it comes to gold in Warden for retail WoW, it pretty much obliterated any market stability by giving players the ability to very easily create thousands of gold per day for very little effort. Though setting up this gold factory did take a good amount of work, I'll give you that, and this was enabled through garrisons. Gold didn't matter as much, and I remember the token actually being fairly well received in all honesty on retail. Personally, and I think many players share this sentiment, was that the economy in the game had been so irreversibly tipped by how easy it was to make gold in WoD that who cares about the token and being able to buy stuff in game with it. That was the feeling then. Who really cares? The feeling I'm getting with Classic at the moment is it will ruin the economy, put a price on things that should be achievements, and make gold worthless. Because as mentioned earlier, gold matters a whole lot more in Classic. All the same, it's constantly in such high demand. The token in of itself isn't going to be the answer to bots, it's just another means to make it less worth doing. And despite this, retail is still just as heavily botted, even when gold is worth so little there. Much like many of the botters, you get a feeling that the people buying gold just don't think they will be banned, or if they do, it won't be permanent, so it's the risk that they're prepared to take. Speaking from experience running a few pugs recently, I have seen more than one Thunder Fury warrior making incredibly basic errors. In fact, it seems like Thunder Fury plus warrior in a pug should be taken as a red flag now. The thing is about people buying gold is that there are a number of ways which players are facilitating that dirty gold entering the game. It's virtual money laundering, and it's massive. I want to talk about 2 ways in which it's done today in particular. There's other ways apart from this for sure, but I just want to give you these 2 today. And just to know, I don't have some kind of vendetta against people that do any of these activities. They're smart things to do. First, GDKP runs, or gold bid runs. The idea here is that you have a bunch of guildies usually, and you invite buyers to the run. If certain items drop that are being sold, the buyers bid with gold instead of DKP, highest bid wins. The gold is split between the carry group at the end. I bet you can see where this is going to go. You invite people to the run. Ideally you want whales who are pretty much known gold buyers to join, and sometimes you just so happen to have an ungilded warrior you've never heard of who magically just has 10 or 15,000 gold to drop on a DFT. No, they can't have transferred with it. There are limits on gold transferred. They could have transferred and sold items, but most of the time it's pretty obvious that this player has been buying gold. And at the end of the run, that gold is distributed out to all the participants in the carry, so gold has successfully entered the economy on upwards of 25 different people. Imagine if you bought a Rolex from somebody dodgy for $50 and the next day the police investigate your house and confiscate it. Ignorance isn't a defense, but then again, what kind of gold bid run is going to turn down a ridiculously high bid? The whole reason you're doing it is to make gold after all. Boosting's kind of similar, but it's more of a constant flow of gold rather than a gradual massive amount being dropped here and there. Hate leveling, there are literally dozens of legit players boosting all day every day, where you can pay your way from low levels all the way up to max, and it's just sitting there semi-AFKing. Another easy way for gold to trade hands from dirty to clean. And it looks like legitimate players are getting caught by taking illegitimate gold. It's no surprise, to be honest, but I think the fact that this is happening above anything else is going to be Blizzard's biggest indicator that the token should come to Classic. What will end up being the tipping point when buying gold has waiting lists and players are happily taking 5-digit bids in gold bid runs. Everybody knows what's going on, and many people who would consider themselves legitimate players are totally happy taking almost certainly dirty gold into the economy. What's the full story behind those banned fully? It's hard to say. There's been plenty of appeals on the Classic subreddit. We even have a ban petition flare now. How about that, eh? Sort of like old school RuneScape, but on OSRS, the subreddit, you see an actual employee of the game personally investigating the claims made and calling people out more often than not. They have a flair for that too. It's called JMod Smackdowns. They're pretty hilarious. Anyways, back on track. Tokening Classic means less work for Blizzard, impacts botters and gold buyers directly, and of course is a nice big old profit margin on top of everything else for Blizzard. Between people who would say yes, gold buyers, and people taking the gold from gold buyers, whether you're directly or indirectly against it, a lot of people are making sure that the market for buying gold remains massive. And it's all pointing towards Blizzard saying, you know what, I think it's going to benefit the game after all. And it's looking harder and harder to argue with that each day. First of all, I want to tell you how the WoW token works. I think there is a huge amount of complaining after you hear the word token, and people don't really get them fully. So here's how they work. The WoW token does not create gold. This is the biggest thing you need to understand. It's not printing money. Though the token costs a fixed amount in real life money, which would be, for example, $20 or euros, etc. It varies in different regions. However, the in-game price is determined by supply and demand and has a predetermined value on the auction house per region. So with this in mind, let me tell you about the wealth division in Classic. We have the big boys that prepped hard in phase 1 and also still go hard farming gold a lot. These will be the top 1%. We have gold farmers whose product is never seen in real time as it's sold through real money trading. And then we sort of scale down as we go to the poorer and poorer players, and then eventually those that are still leveling. At the moment, the gold sellers are the main bridge between the super rich and the super poor, where real money is the commodity that paves that crossing. With the token introduced, the majority of players will look to legitimate means, aka Blizzard, to provide them safe passage across that bridge. And the wealth of the super rich will be distributed down among the poor via the virtue of the WoW token, and gold sellers will have to crash their prices in hopes to compete. Remember those figures I gave you earlier for retail? This is a very TLDR version of it, but that's how it is currently. And you only have to look at the success of Classic compared to private servers to see how many people will only consider trying something if they consider it legitimate. The token distributes gold amongst the population of a server, it does not create it. Whilst this can lead to inflation, and in fact I expect that it would because we still don't have adequate resources to match the volume of players on our mega servers, maybe that's a bullet we have to take. What's good about the WoW token in Classic? It directly harms not only botters and gold farmers, but more importantly puts a big question mark up for gold buyers. This is the side of botting that's not as frequently brought up. All of this mess is only as popular as it's made by the end consumer, the buyer, the person who says, sure, I'll gladly convert a few of my hours in my real life work earnings into avoiding dozens of hour farming in Classic to get my epic mount, my Lionheart helm or my Edge Masters now. I can honestly say this is easily the biggest benefit, and I know what you're probably thinking now, they don't deserve to have those items, right? Success in WoW shouldn't follow success in real life, but we'll talk about that in a moment as well. It moves gold down from the top 1% to the wider player base. Increased buying power for the small guy is a good thing. That's about all I can say for this. It's difficult to predict the market fully. I can see some items going even higher in price than they are at the moment. I mean, just look at the Chinese market, which does have the WoW token, and some of the prices over there. Okay then, so what's bad about the token in Classic? It effectively puts a price tag on achievements and through farming gold. Farming gold is a big part of the game, I'm not gonna lie. Go on YouTube and type in Gold Farm Classic, and you will be presented with dozens and dozens of different videos telling you all the min-max, what to do where, when, why, at what level. It really matters. It's a big bit of the game, it truly is. But look, gold isn't what it used to be. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. I remember the first level 60 I saw with an epic mount, you know. I was still leveling in Felwood, and it was an undead mage. He rode straight up behind me and just deleted me. And I was kind of impressed, to be honest. Not only was this guy level 60, but he had managed to push his way to an epic mount already. This was in the first week, of course. Throughout my early days playing, I saw Lionheart helms, Devil Sword 2 sets, Edge Masters, Hand of Rag, epic mounts, and thought, wow, that's awesome. I can't imagine how that person has done that already. I see a 60 without an epic mount now, and I think it's either an alt or, wow, come on dude, stop slacking. I'm not trying to BM any fresh 60s here, but it's just not as big of a deal as it used to be. You can say it evens the playing field, but it really creates a playing field with a guy in real life cashing in can equally win in game, which kind of leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and your real life success should not dictate success in a game, and gold is a big reason for success in Classic. The real grind in gold these days is mainly for consumables for raids and PvP, and that's a self-imposed obstacle if I'm being completely honest. Even if we got the token, I can guarantee there will still be bots, gold bid runs happily taking crazy prices for items, and boosting still being ever so popular, but it will serve to legitimize transactions involving a large amount of gold, where Blizzard has to do less investigative work into false bans and so on. What do I think? I think the game does perfectly fine without, but with bots being on the rise ever since the last wave, and the ban waves looking as though they aren't going to be coming fast enough, it's the option that makes Blizzard money, it's the option that makes many players happy, and it's the option that has the most impact with the least effort. I think the WoW token will be in Classic before TBC is. Those are my thoughts on the subject at least. If you don't agree and have a different idea, please let me know below. All the same, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you like what you see, give the video a like and subscribe, as there'll be plenty more to come. Take care guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.